So the Dallas Cowboys had another overall sorry performance on Sunday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers, now putting them at 3-4 for the overall season. And when you compare this team to what they were last year, they are a complete shell of themselves. They went from being one of the best offenses and one of the best defenses in the NFL to now being 22nd in points scored on offense and 31st in points allowed on defense. So nearly the worst overall defense in all of the National Football League. And I don't think that the blame just goes to one person or one individual. I think that there are so many different problems in Dallas. And to start off, I think we have to look at Mike McCarthy and his time here in Dallas. And I think that when things have gone, when you have all the talent, when you have a ton of guys who are playing at a top tier level, Mike McCarthy's scheme seems to work pretty well. But when you start to, lack some talent outside of CeeDee Lamb, when you start to have running backs who, can't get the running game going, which has led to this being the worst rushing attack in all of football, it really feels like the scheme that Mike McCarthy brings to the table just isn't enough to get it done. And, you have guys like Dan Orlovsky on ESPN, former NFL quarterback, criticizing the staleness of the Cowboys scheme. And it reminds me of some things that took place near the end of Mike McCarthy's time in Green Bay. And when Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers were together, there's no doubt they had so many successful years. They made the playoffs like 8 straight times. They, of course, win a Super Bowl. And so part of you thinks, okay, well, Mike McCarthy must have this insane scheme that really allowed the Packers to thrive. But when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, you do have to beg the question, how much of it was Mike McCarthy and his scheme, and how much was it just the top-tier talent of a guy like Aaron Rodgers. And it reminded me of an article that came out back in 2019 from Tyler Dunn. And let me share this one piece of information that I think pertains to what may be happening here with the Cowboys and their play calling right now. So this is from the article on Mike McCarthy and his time to end with the Packers. And it says here, from Tyler Dunn, the problem for McCarthy was that as the talent drained, he failed to innovate. His scheme went stale and he didn't adapt. He believed his system, not the Packers' absurd amount of talent, was the foundation for the offensive success, but raw rookies cannot bust free one-on-one like, say, Jennings or Nelson or Jones. Tension with Rodgers over the play calling became part of the DNA of the offense itself. Rodgers felt the system was bland, so he increasingly played Superman. And I think that when you look at the Cowboys offense, comparing it to so many of these other schemes in the NFL, teams like the Green Bay Packers, who have one of the highest motion rates in the NFL with Matt LaFleur, teams like the 49ers, who haven't been quite as good this year, but for a long time, the scheme that Kyle Shanahan runs over there has led to them being, one of the more successful offenses for a good period of time. And it just feels like the scheme that Mike McCarthy is running in Dallas just isn't something that really gets the most out of what you have. And you look at Matt LaFleur with Malik Willis in the 2 games that Jordan Love was down, and he's still able to, create this game plan and this scheme where he has guys motion all over the place. He's creating these crazy runs that the defense doesn't expect. He just has a ton of creativity, and it really feels like there's barely any creativity in this Dallas Cowboys offense. And I honestly believe that if Matt LaFleur was the play caller, that you'd be getting a lot more out of Dak Prescott, a lot more out of this Cowboys offense. Now, I don't think it would solve everything. I think that the Cowboys need to get some more talent outside of CeeDee Lamb, because right now it seems like it's just the CeeDee Lamb show. And if you get some other talent around him, outside of Jalen Tolbert, Turpin, who dropped that pass in the 49ers game on that crucial last drive, I really do think that with the right play caller, this team could be a lot better. And so first off, I think that Mike McCarthy is a problem, and it really makes me wonder how long he is going to be in Dallas. And it's not to say that, he's been a bad coach completely. I mean, he's had a ton of success in the NFL, and I do think he deserves credit for what he did do with the Packers, but there was a lot of tension there in the end, and I do think people questioned Mike McCarthy as a play caller near the end time in Green Bay. It worked for a long time, but at some point it feels like you do need to probably adapt a little bit more. But then also, Dak Prescott has just been playing real poorly. You compare it to last year, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 105.9 passer rating. He gets $60 million a year right before the season. And currently he's greatly underperforming what he showed last year. 10 total touchdowns to 8 interceptions and 84.5 rating. He's currently having one of the worst years of his career. And so when you pay a guy $60 million, even if your offense isn't great, even if you don't have the best play callers, you would hope that a guy like Dak Prescott, who you're paying $60 million per year, could at least do a little bit more. And you look at the game against the 49ers, 2 bad interceptions. The Cowboys did come close to having a comeback there, but it was just too little too late, which I think has happened way too often here with this Cowboys team. And, Jerry Jones' decision not to bring in any other running back, to keep Rico Dowdle with Tony Pollard leaving, to not make a move for Derrick Henry, and then to throw out Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook, who Dalvin Cook averaged 2 yards a carry. He didn't really look great last year with the Jets. Ezekiel Elliott had 10 carries, 34 yards, 3.4 yards a carry. They averaged 2.9 yards a carry, only 56 total rushing yards against the San Francisco 49ers. And so I think that Dak Prescott not playing well, Mike McCarthy not calling the greatest plays, the running game being atrocious, the fact they didn't bring in some more running back talent to really try to bring some more talent here to this Cowboys rushing room. It's just really led to this team greatly underperforming. And then you throw in the fact that the defense is 31st in points scored. I mean, even if you have a somewhat good offense, this Cowboys team is being dragged down by their defense. Yes, there are a ton of injuries, but you look last year, when you have a defense that's holding teams to 5th best in the league in scoring, it does so much for the offense. They don't have to do as much. There's not as much pressure. But so far this year, it's like there has been a ton more pressure on the offense because the defense can't really do anything. Last year, they were 12th in takeaways per game at 1.5. Right now, they're basically at half of that at 0.7 per game, 26th in takeaways per game. And so, honestly, overall, there's barely been anything good to come out of the Cowboys so far this season. And it does make you wonder, what is the solution here? I saw that Stephen Jones was saying today on the radio, 105 through the Fan, that he feels like they have the talent to compete. And it sounds to me like he's sort of expecting them to just sort of bounce back. And, at 3-4, I don't think it's necessarily, the end of the world just on having that record for any kind of team. But for the way the Cowboys have looked, I mean, this does not look like a playoff team. It doesn't look anything like the team that showed up last year in the regular season. And so I really don't think what they have here is enough to be competitive anymore. And I think this offseason they're going to have to do a ton to try to fix their problems, add a lot more talent, but they just paid Dak $60 million, just paid CD a ton of money. The Cowboys are in a really tough spot right now, and I'm curious to see how they try to address it going forward. Will Mike McCarthy still be the coach after this season? That's debatable based on what they've shown so far. Would Jerry make an in-season change? Who knows? You never know what Jerry's going to do. But those are basically my thoughts right now. If you want more Cowboys content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.